Welcome first to the first Blazer how-to, and on this video we are going to be having to fix a problem. The problem is my 4x4. This Blazer has a problem with the 4x4, which I'll show you in a clip right now. Now that you've just seen the clip, you've just seen a Blazer getting out of the mud. But this was not performing the way it should. So a little while ago, I was looking back at that footage, and I was saying, wait, the front tire doesn't spin at all. Matters of fact, it actually plows through the mud. It doesn't move, it actually just plows its way right through the mud. That means the 4x4 was not working at all. I was like, well, maybe it just didn't engage. So a little while after that, I was taking out the battery to be clearing some codes on my check engine light, which occasionally comes on. It's been getting better. Anyways, I take out the battery, and I take out the battery tray, and I discovered that the actuator has a hole in it about an inch across. If you've never seen a 4x4 actuator, this is the part. Basically, it's rubber, and it just sucks to pull a cable, which engages a 4x4. If to make matters worse, when I did engage the 4x4, it would light up and say the 4x4 was on when it wasn't. So this led me for a long time to think the 4x4 was on when it actually wasn't. This was caused because the 4x4 indicator was unplugged. So I've plugged that 4x4 indicator back in, and today we're going to be changing the actuator. Hope you enjoy. The tools you will need for this job are very simple. All you need: flathead screwdriver, just in case you have to pry anything apart. You have this electric ratchet, which is not needed, anything will do, and a ratchet set, which has all the sockets. I'll get to the socket size you need in a second, but socket set. And that's all you need for this job, and here's the actuator we'll be putting in. I'll show you the old one when we get working. So let's start with removing the battery. The size you will need is an 8mm socket. And I'm using an electric ratchet. The positive terminal is removed, and now you remove the negative. Once you have the terminals removed, you can just pull up on the battery and get it out. Once you go ahead and remove the battery, all you have to do is remove 2 bolts. There's one there and one there. Some people have bolts right there. These bolts are actually 1/2 inch, so all you need is a 1/2 inch drive or a 13mm. Then you just remove this battery tray. I know the lighting is poor, but one bolt, two bolt, and then you just pull the battery tray out of here. Now that the battery tray is removed, let me show you the actuator. Now that we can actually see the actuator, you can see that it has a huge rip in it. That is not good. If your actuators have holes or any sort of rip, you have no 4x4. So this one has got to go. To remove this, you first have to remove the bracket it's mounted to. And there's just 2 bolts holding it. I'm missing one of the bolts, but you can access these bolts by going underneath your wheel weld and getting to these bolts. You see there's a hole for one of these bolts right there. But you just have to remove this bolt, and it's the same size as the battery. It's the same 1/2 inch. So just go ahead and remove that bolt. To remove the actuator from the actuator mount, you have to get to 3 bolts, which are right there, and then unplug the actuator line for vacuum. Now all you have to do is unmount the actuator from the transfer case cable. That is actually done by removing this little spring. Basically just unclip this spring and the actuator comes off. As you can see on our new one, there's just a little spring and you lift it up. That's all you have to do to unhook this from this transfer case line. After I removed this, you can see it spilled transfer case oil everywhere. So just be aware of that there may be transfer case oil in the actuator when you remove it, so that may cause a mess. And when I removed it, it ripped in pieces. Hope the new one doesn't do that. So let's go ahead and just install the new one by first putting it and mounting it with the spring back on the transfer case cable, then mounting it back to the transfer case. No, I'm sorry, the actuator mount. And then we mount that to the wheel weld. Now that I've got the actuator back in place, I'll get this mount and screw that back in place. All you have to do now is put your battery tray back in, bolt up your battery tray, and install your battery. And that's how you do a 4x4 actuator. And thanks for watching this Blazer How To. See you next time.